Hello, everybody. This is Pablo from Costa Rica. I'm going through some discoveries about myself in this process of healing myself and awakening to all parts of myself as a whole and complete. And in this part of the process that I'm coming through, I've discovered a level of insatisfaction that has always been a part of my everyday life in subtle ways, sort of like blended with the everyday life in such a way that is not very noticeable, in such a way that I have to be really aware of myself to the degree to actually notice something that is so hidden and weaved in my everyday experiences. And so I'm so blessed that I was able to come to a place where I can recognize my unhappiness about different things and different subjects, because recognizing it is bringing it to the light, and bringing it to the light is bringing it to healing, is undoing it, is realizing that it never existed and never was. And I always believed the tramp. I fell into the trap, the tramp. I fell into the trap, and so I believed it as real when it was an illusion that wasn't real, but I wasn't really aware that I was believing it. Anyway, I came and brought it to the light by my knowing of it, by being aware of it. It bring it to the light, and the light reflects on it, and when it reflects on it, it just shows the unrealistic nature, the sourceless thing, because it has no source, because it's really an illusion that I thought it was real unconsciously. So in this process, I've had different teachers that I've run into in my own seeking for peace. I've found Byron Katie and Bentino Massaro, Isha Judd, Wayne Dyer, Marianne Williamson, and many more that I have run into, through doing my research about how to heal myself and how to progress from a state of being in which I feel that there's something missing to the whole experience of life. And I really enjoyed reading the Course in Miracles, because this has such power, hard to define, but the best way I can get to it is that when I read it, I feel this love that is complete and that is full and glorious and completely extended to me unconditionally, and embraces me and makes me feel completely safe and at home. And it's a really amazing feeling. So I found this about, I was just going through my suitcases, because I live out of suitcases. Everybody that knows me well knows that I live out of suitcases for most of my life. Not because I travel for work, but just because I don't have where to live. Okay, so I found this thing called guilt and guiltlessness. And this is what it says. The guiltless and the guilty are totally incapable of understanding one another. Each perceives the other as like himself, making them unable to communicate, because each sees the other unlike the way he sees himself. God can communicate only to the Holy Spirit in your mind, because only He shares the knowledge of what you are with God. And only the Holy Spirit can answer God for you, for only He knows what God is. Everything else that you have placed within your mind cannot exist, for what is not in communication with the mind of God has never been. Communication with God is life. Nothing without it is at all. Nothing without it is at all. The only part of your mind that has reality is the part that links you still with God. Would you have all of it transformed into a radiant message of God's love to share with all the lonely ones who have denied Him with you? God makes this possible. Would you deny His yearning to be known? You yearn for Him as He for you. This is forever changeless. Accept then the immutable. Leave the world of death behind and return quietly to heaven. There is nothing of value here and everything of value there. Listen to the Holy Spirit, and to get through Him, He speaks of you to you. There is no guilt in you, for God is blessed in His Son, and the Son is blessed in Him. And this is just so beautiful, as God tells us that there is no guilt with us, in us. There is no guilt in us. So all that guilt that we have always believed and accepted as real is a total illusion that doesn't exist. It's powerless. Completely hopeless and powerless. So we're not the powerless ones. It's the illusions that we believe are as real, the powerless ones. Because there is no guilt in us. There is no guilt in us. For God is blessed in His Son, as His Son is blessed in Him. Each one of you has a special part to play in the atonement, but the message given to each to share is always the same. God's Son is guiltless. Each one teaches the message differently and learns it differently, but until he teaches it and learns it, he will suffer the pain of dim awareness, that his true function remains unfulfilled in him. The burden of guilt is heavy, but God would not have you bound by it. His plan for you or awakening is as perfect as yours is fallible. You know not what would you do, but he who knows is with you. Okay, once again, because I sound like I'm drunk. His plan for your awakening is as perfect as yours is fallible. You know not what you do, but he who knows is with you. His gentleness is yours, and all the love you share with God, he holds in trust for you. He would teach you nothing except how to be happy. Blessed Son of a holy blessing Father, joy was created for you. Who can condemn whom God has blessed? Who can condemn whom God had blessed? There is nothing in the mind of God that does not share His shining innocence. Creation is the natural extension of perfect purity. Your only calling here is to devote yourself with active willingness to the denial of guilt in all its forms. To accuse is not to understand. To accuse is not to understand. Your only calling here is to devote yourself with active willingness to the denial of guilt in all its forms. To accuse is not to understand. The happy learners of the atonement become the teachers of the innocence that is the right of all that God created. Deny them not what is their due, for you will not withhold it from them alone. The inheritance of the kingdom is the right of God's Son, given him in his creation. Do not try to steal it from him, or you will ask for guilt and will experience it. The inheritance of the kingdom is the right of God's Son, given him in his creation. Do not try to steal it from him, or you will ask for guilt and will experience it. This is so fucking awesome. Wow, this is so fucking amazing. The inheritance of the kingdom is the right of God's Son, giving him in his creation. Do not try to steal it from him, or you will ask for guilt and will experience it. Protect his purity from every thought that would steal it away, and keep it from his sight. Protect his purity from every thought that would steal it away, and keep it from his sight. Bring innocence to light in answer to the call of all the atonement. Never allow purity to remain hidden, but shine away the heavy veils of guilt, within which the Son of God has hidden himself from his own sight. We are all joined in the atonement here, and nothing else can unite us in this. Well, this is a really, really cool. I'm so blessed right now to know this and to be able to experience what this brings to my body